Another morning. Here we do this over and over again, I guess. Anyway, modern mystic this morning. Economics. You know, he's turned into such a mouthpiece for capitalism. I can barely watch him anymore. So anyway, he's arguing with this notion. You know, some people argue that the government should just spend money and make jobs for people. And yeah, that probably is way too extreme. You can't just print money without consequence. Obviously, it devalues the money people hold, and so it's a tax. But the other side of that coin is that if you can create productive labor out of people, you will create stuff. You will create more service and bounty, and services will be cheaper if more people are employed. So there is a question there. There's something to balance there. But it's just this whole attitude that somehow he really does believe in this invisible hand crap. You know, that if you just leave this system alone, everything will be just fine. And I don't, you know, his viewers just keep eating this crap up. And he's the same guy who said, I don't care whether I'm an upstairs or a downstairs. I don't care whether I'm forced to compete with a guy making $5 an hour. I don't care if there's a king who owns everything and just rents it to the rest of us. So what's the hell's the point? In this guy's opinion, his perspective is completely disinterested or something. I mean, I personally think it's a lot of crap, because I don't think he wants to live the life of the average Chinaman. But he talks like that's what he would be willing to live, and that would be just fine, you know, if he died in a coal mine at 22. But anyway, the idea that you can have systems and they don't need to be regulated, that you don't need to optimize performance, to do some engineering, that somehow there's invisible forces floating around out here that are going to make sure that things go as efficiently as possible, is just so fucking stupid. Excuse my French. But anyway, this is just such a stupid argument to still have to have in the 20th century, to have to argue that there isn't the invisible force of fairness. There's an invisible force of unfairness, of stupid chance, of idiotic circumstance, that the game won't be any good unless you do have umpires and rules. We've learned that lesson. You know, that letting the cheaters and the thieves and the gluttons and the pigs run the world doesn't work. Oh, God, I mean, you just have to say this. It's so frustrating. Anyway, so let's go back to this economy thing and what is the nature of the beast? And you know, people still make some jackass comments on my videos about the Fed or the money system. I block the fuckers. Unless you're willing to make a video and argue this shit, fuck you. I'm not putting up with your crappy, nonsensical babble about your goddamn Fed conspiracies and all your other crap. The money system. Money's irrelevant to this equation. Debt is relevant. And that was a willful choice. It wasn't something shoved down your goddamn throat by some, you know, invisible force again. You voted for it. America voted for it. We're stuck with that liability. People were stupid and they voted for deficit spending. They voted to be in debt to the rich and to pay a huge percentage of the value of our economy to them as interest. And for people not to understand, this is another part that makes me insane, is these stupid fucktards who still can't get it, that somebody cannot get obscenely wealthy. They can never create enough value to justify what they take in terms of control. That you cannot float all boats. The way you float a boat is by finding some productivity to exploit. So you have to find a worker somewhere who will do more work than the value you will pay him. And that's how you make fucking money. And, you know, the real productive work in a society is the physical stuff, the real world crap. The researchers, the builders, the constructors, the engineers. These are the people that have real value. These assholes playing their money games aren't making the world go round. They're slowing it down. They're a huge lag on the system, a huge drag. It's like carrying a line of their legacy dead corpses behind us. They suck all the real power of the incentive out of the system, and it's disgusting. And when these assholes post some comment, some flippant little jackass comment, you think you're going to get anything from me but contempt? Make a whole argument or make no argument at all. Anyway, I mean, bad enough days it is. Damn pricker bush attacked me, but a hole in the end of my nose. It's like every day it's something. I forgot my e-cigarette and had to walk a quarter of the trip twice. Damn it. Okay, anyway. So, yeah, let's see, what else can I say on this system? I mean, this really is, if you break the dynamic down, you can understand it. It is infinitely sensible. In a civilization, let's call it civilization, let's not call it government. Let's call it civilization, because damn it, the only way to have civilization is to have government. That's the other thing that pisses me off. These assholes who think, oh, let's all just become small tribes and that'll solve the problem. Little governments. Yeah, little governments that'll piss each other off because somebody's pissing in somebody else's drinking water, and they'll go to war all over the damn place. And America will look like the Middle East. Why are we able to sustain a war in the Middle East? You know why? It's because they're so busy killing each other. They can't consolidate to kill us. Jackasses. That makes you ripe for invasion and takeover when you're a bunch of little jackass tribes and you can't do anything as a nation. Anyway, it's a whole nother fucking argument. Shouldn't have to be made. So where's I going here again? Again, yeah, the idea that you want to maximize the number of people at work, and you want to make sure that stupid things don't happen, like you create 10,000 more school teachers than you need, or some other thing. It's like corn crops and wheat crops and all that stuff. You need to regulate it, because if you don't, people will say, oh yeah, it was a really bumper year for corn this year. I mean, you know, in terms of prices, because crops were low or something. And the next year everybody plants corn and there's way too much corn. So I mean, it's that kind of thing. You got to avoid that. And so you got to do some engineering. You got to create incentives for people to acquire the skills that the damn society needs in the future. Not just what's happening today, but you got to do a little planning for the future. And like I said, the idea is to have as many people as possible making a productive contribution, and you know, and have as few loafers and freeloaders as possible, both on the bottom of the scale and at the top of the scale. I mean, poor people should not have some free entitlement to create babies, and rich people, there should be a damn limit on how much they suck out of the system, how much usury they pull out of people's productivity, and in turn re-divert those resources into completely socially unproductive labor. Like I said, they're not building. Think about it. When somebody builds the Golden Gate Bridge, right? When you're a worker there, you're doing mega value. I mean, guys pouring cement on the Hoover Dam, they were doing some of the most, you know, productive work ever conceived by humanity. And the opposite would be the jackasses moving stones to build the pyramids We're doing the worst, most unproductive labor ever accomplished by a human being. And that's the way to look at it, to understand it. There's work that has social value, and there's work that has no social value, no redeeming value, no long-term value. It's dead. One person eats it and it's over. It's not a renewable resource. You want work to be productive. You want it to be something people can build on. You want it to always be going forward, progress, growth. You don't want this stupid, idiotic, let's let the rich control the money and invest it in shit, in little rackety businesses, in damn commercials to sell us shit we don't need, because all they care about is their greed. All this is waste. There's huge waste in this system. Millions